Do you think if you hadn't become a manager, I'm guessing you would have stayed doing things around wrestling. Most people don't give that up, especially you were making a lot of money. Do you think you would have expanded though into other things? You would have tried to do t-shirts as the 80s went on. You would have tried to do some kind of video, whether you had the rights to or not. Do you think you
Oh,
would
no,
have expanded your merchandise stand empire?
I don't know about t-shirts just because here's the thing. I was doing photography. I was writing the programs. I did branch out into my own magazine that was specific for the territory, the Championship Wrestling magazine. And those were selling well until I turned heel, and then we couldn't give some of the last ones away. It would have been more about books and pictures, and I wasn't a t-shirt specialist. I didn't, know anything about t-shirt printing, nor did I have any ins with, getting any t-shirts done. I may have probably, just because I would have been only the middleman, probably not got involved in that. But anything you could sell in the arenas as far as the stuff that I was already involved in, I would have expanded, I'm pretty sure, because what we did do was successful. And you talked about video. I was already recording shit at home. I was already a photographer. Composing a still photo is in the neighborhood of composing video if you've got an eye for photography. So I would have, and then if I was shooting video, I would have been able to have copies of all those matches. So it would have been in my mind. So I would have definitely branched into video and seen what we could do in the way of home video or something, because I was Lawler kept some tapes of the TV show they did in Memphis just with some of his most memorable moments. And Jarrett, the same thing. They kept the concession stand brawl or a few of the things they just wanted to keep around, but most of the time they recorded over stuff and reused the tapes, as we've mentioned. But I would have been not only building a library, but also the one that would have seen that wrestling fans were more interested than the average person in getting VCRs so they can see wrestling on tape. Just like the early people, the wrestling fans were the driving force behind people getting cable as soon as it was available in their area so they could see Georgia wrestling. And I'm not ribbing about this. Gorgeous George sold TVs in 1949 or whatever. It was kind of the same thing. The promoters and the wrestlers didn't know it because they didn't have time to fucking buy home VCRs, and they hadn't been salivating at the opportunity to record their own shows because it was no big deal to them. But the fans loved it. And the wrestlers, were barely at home in time to get a movie on VHS tape. So they weren't on the early edge of, recognizing that this home video thing is going to be a big deal. But I was, because I was not only seeing all the video magazines that I subscribed to, so I could see the latest model VCRs, so I could figure out a way to tape more wrestling. But I was also seeing the wrestling fans that were starting to move heaven and earth to trade these tapes so they could see the other territories. So now that you've mentioned that, I probably would have been the one to talk Jarrett into selling home videos.
At least locally, not like a national thing like he did with, who did he do? He did it with Jeff Otto and those
Well,
guys.
yeah, but that was not till like 87, 88. And by then, my God, I love Memphis wrestling, but those were not their greatest years. It was headed into the down period. I would have been talking to him about, if I hadn't gotten to business in 82, Jesus, by the next year or the year after, because there was a market at that point, and they still weren't saving their shit.
You never thought about, especially when you had multiple VCRs and you knew how to set the timer, you never thought about getting a satellite dish? Just to record wrestling, obviously.
I'm trying to remember what the technology of satellite dishes was like in 1979, 1980, and or how much they cost. Because remember, I'm still doing this on my photographer's money. It's not like, you should have seen when I told my mom Yeah, I have this TV antenna. It's 14 feet long, and there's a 10-foot pole that it goes on, and there's a mechanism that turns it in every direction that I'll control from my room. Can I put it on the roof? That was a conversation.
I was actually even thinking about when you were in Charlotte, but I guess there wouldn't have been enough wrestling around the country worth you going out of your way to record.
No, my God, when I was in Charlotte, I was setting 3 VCRs every weekend before I went on the road just to record all of Crockett's programs. Think about this. It was Saturday night TBS, Sunday night TBS, then Friday night TBS got added. Crockett had 2 hours of syndication that went most places in the country and another 30-minute program and sometimes an hour program on in Charlotte. Plus, Norman's sending me what's left of the territories. So, we had it. We had it nailed. And then after that, and those early dishes were not like the little things they sit on the roof of your
I know.
Fucking mobile home now. It was a commitment. It looked like a goddamn spaceship had landed in the backyard.
Well, with all the running around doing all the merch, I guess you probably would have spent a lot on auto parts. That's how we do it, folks.
You lazy motherfucker. Oh, we told you it was going to be like this, ladies and gentlemen, today. Do you think there's anybody out? Could this be the first podcast in history where by this point everybody just said they're just not going to do it today and just clicked off, and we're literally talking to ourselves? Nobody will ever hear this. Well, that's a good reason for our sponsors to keep signing back up. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what. With the problems with all the makes and models of the cars they make these days, strange as it may seem, they give these cars strange names these days. You've got, well, who's on first? What's on second? No, they've got a ton of makes and models of the cars. Just all kinds of them. They all look weird anymore. Have you ever noticed this? They don't have fins on them like they used to. And you can't put a good car stereo in anymore. Back in the old days, back in my day. But I'll tell you what, no matter what you got one of the new cars or you got one of the old cars. Say you need a goozle pipe for a 43 Packard. Because most people don't just have these common, ordinary, run-of-the-mill cars anymore. They got some classics. Well, you can't just go to a brick-and-mortar store, Brian. You can't do that. Because, for one thing, I've yet to see anybody repair a car with either bricks or mortar. It doesn't work. That mortar clogs up the fuel lines. But the brick-and-mortar stores can't carry all these parts, but we know who can. Our friends at rockauto.com. Because they're a family business. They were related to the Manson family at one time, but fortunately they were cleared of any wrongdoing whatsoever. It was actually, they were only related by marriage, they found out. So
a very nice family with no relation to the Manson family.
Well, marriage is no relation. It's a legal thing, but you don't have any blood connection. And they've been serving auto parts customers online for 20 years, ever since the legal settlement that prevented them from having these brick and mortar stores.
There was no legal settlement.
So they fled online. They're anchored somewhere off what are you talking about? It's past the 3-mile limit in international waters. They've been told that they can do anything they want.
What was the
4.5 miles out?
What was the brick and mortar lawsuit exactly?
Well, there was an issue, is all I'm saying, but the feds stepped in.
Oh, the feds.
And as long as they stay 4.5 miles offshore, it's international waters, folks, and they've got all the parts there, and they'll put them on the boat, run them over to the dock, and then they have to wait for nighttime to fall. Then they switch over to the truck, and they're going to bring them straight to you. They got everything from engine control modules and brake parts to tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm sitting on right now. I carpeted the office with this carpet from rockauto.com, and it's amazing. And their catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. They sent me one the other day. It's even thicker than the Sears catalog, but they don't use the slick paper that the Sears people started using there. Because I'll tell you, at one point, you had to have your companion in the outhouse was the Sears catalog. Then they started going to that slick paper, and oh my God, not only did it smear instead of wipe, but then the paper cuts were insane. And if you've ever paper cutted your taint with a page of the Sears catalog, you'll know that I'm not fooling around when I say that that's not something you don't want to do. Maybe I use some double negatives there.
I don't know what's going on here, but let me just go back a step. Whatever you get from rockauto.com, be assured it will be delivered legitimately by very nice people.
Yes.
Via legitimate means, no intrigue and espionage in the night or whatever you were describing before.
Actually, we're not sure. We're not sure they're going to be nice because they do background checks. The second leg of the delivery, the deliverers, the delivery folks are background checked on that leg because they tried to do it on both legs, but the people taking that first leg, waiting for nighttime and then loading it on the truck, sometimes they didn't want their backgrounds checked. But the people that bring it to your house, they've checked them. They don't have to be friendly. That's not part of the equation. They need to be professional.
What?
They need to be responsible. They need to fulfill their function, but they're not required to be friendly. There was a lawsuit about that. It went to the fucking, I think, the 9th District, and they ruled against us. They're not required to be friendly.
No, there was no lawsuit. There was no 9th District. Are you assuming that Rock Auto has their own courier?
I'm not assuming. When you assume, you make an ass of you and me. I'm just saying that rockauto.com has ways to get these things to your home fairly quickly. And you'll be happy as a clam with them when you open the box up, regardless of how they got there. Just don't look these people in the eye when they hand you the box, and it'll be fine. And the best of all, prices. God damn you. At rockauto.com are always reliably low, and the same for professionals and do-it-yourselfers, because you know, a professional is just a do-it-yourselfer that has fucking conned somebody into giving them some money. So why spend up twice as much for the same parts? Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, and write JCE in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you, because it means a lot to them, ladies and gentlemen. And we want to do whatever they say because we do not want the wrath of Rock Auto on our backs. You've heard of having a monkey on your back? When you got Rock Auto on your back, fuck, that shit's hard to kick. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, and all the parts your car will ever need.
And nothing to worry about. And nothing to worry about. Nice people.
No worry. They don't have to be nice. It's elective. They can choose to be nice if they want, but they will be professional. rockauto.com.